Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this for you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella came in and said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is definitely silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.
Hello everybody, welcome to Truth Proof. I hope you've all had a great weekend, and let's look forward to the week ahead. So a few reports coming this week, and I'm going to share a few of those with you. Next week, all being well, we'll be talking to Jim Penniston, and Jim hasn't done many interviews for quite a few years now, so we'll be talking Rendlesham Forest, all being well. I spoke to him this morning, or exchanged a few messages with him this morning, and we fixed that up. So I know there'll be a lot of people in chat who are interested in the Rendlesham Forest incident, 1980. We're going back a long time, aren't we? But no less interesting in view of all the things that are sort of surfacing now. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are. So think about some questions for next week. All being well, he'll be there. And questions tonight, please. You know, give us some questions. I've got a few reports coming, cat related as well, not just UFO related, and some of them are historic, some of them are quite current. But I hope everybody's good tonight. I nearly didn't make it, as you probably realise. I were a few minutes late. It's just been flying about today. That's all I can say. I've been all over the place, so it's a good job we don't have a guest today, because I would have been really panicking that I was going to make it. So let's have a look. We're going on for 200 people here, so every week. Thanks for support, guys. It's really good here. So let's have a look who's in. We've got Sarah, is it Brocklehurst, Dizzy Dawes, Margaret Webster, Mia Girl, I think Linny will be in, Mrs. Linny, Blue Shift Robs, Ian Langton, Alienate UK, good to see you. Michael, is it Michelle Walters, Michael Walters, Purple Pipkin. Lee's doing moderating tonight for us, and Gemma, so thank you. Well, we're on with that, on moderating. Don't want no arguing tonight. I had a bit of arguing last week between a few people, and I've said to Lee, I've said to Gemma, just remove them. It's everybody's experience. It's your live stream, guys. It was brilliant. There were no live stream last week, were they? We out the questions from you guys, basically, and we just sort of ploughed on for 2 hours, just kicking thoughts about and ideas. And, you know, life's too short for arguments, in it, let's face it. So it's London Girl. Let's have a look. We've got Margaret Webster. We've done Margaret. Jojo. So where are we all? Do we have any questions, or shall I jump into one of these reports? I think I'll jump into a report or a little account from somebody. So this is from 2018. So we're going to jump into that, and I shall look then and see whether we've got any questions. And it's from a lady called Lisa. She saw a UFO in 2018. It was about 5:30-ish to 6 p.m. in the evening, cold, dark, overcast, and the sky was quite misty, drizzling and rain. It was just horrible. My husband was driving back, and I was in the passenger seat, our eldest daughter in the back of the car, in the middle seat. Don't know whether that's appropriate, not appropriate. I don't know whether that's relevant, but we shall know in a bit. We had just come round a roundabout, and we were on the Chesterfield Road, heading to town towards Duckmanton. Right? Do you know these places, guys? Because I don't. Heading towards Duckmanton. The Chesterfield Road drops down a hill, and you can turn left onto Staveley Road. There's the pub, and you turn left, and the pub is called the Arkwright Arms. Okay. After the Arkwright Arms, you carry along Chesterfield Road and then turn onto an incline which eventually crosses the M1. Sorry for the long description. She's saying that, not me, but I was thinking it as I was reading it. But I'm giving you an exact location in case you wanted to look it up on a map. So there you go, guys. Have a look on a map. As I said, we were now on the Chesterfield Road at the Arkwright town before the road that drops down the hill. when my husband suddenly pointed in front and said loudly, "Wow, what is that?" I looked at what he was pointing at. It was a kind of hidden in plain sight orange light. I'm going to bright orange down because there's something I want to tell you guys in a minute. Hidden in plain sight orange light. It was behind some trees and in the distance. And to me, on first glance, it looked like a street light. Let's just check I'm not missing any questions. There you go. It looked like a street light. But my husband was so enthusiastic by the way he asked the question that it made me stare and look a little bit longer. As I kept staring, we passed the trees which were blocking a clear view. Then it became apparent to me that this was no street light. The colour of this thing was an intense fiery orange, like the embers of an old electric fire with the bars on full glow. So some of us will know what that's like. Some of us will have probably never owned an electric fire with them bars on, you know. So anyway, if that makes sense, it was above the horizon. We think it was slightly to the left of the castle in Bolsover, known as Bolsover Castle. I mean, that's pretty explanatory. I couldn't take my eyes off this thing. Even my husband was trying to watch it intensely whilst he was driving. The light switched off, starting at one end specifically, the right-hand side, and then the darkness travelled along it until it reached the left-hand side. So it was completely dark now. We couldn't see all of it for a second or two. Then it suddenly lit up again and started from the right-hand side. It's crazy, this, guys, isn't it? When you think about these sightings, and this is just one lady's and her husband and presumably their young child's sighting from 2018. How many more are out there? We ask it every week, don't we? So let's just keep going. So this time it looked pixelated, but the movement of the light travelled back across towards the left-hand side. And this time it looked like rectangles on all levels. I've got to I think there's a picture for this one. I'll see if I can find it anyway in a bit. Rectangles on all levels. And there was more colours mixed in, predominantly, though, a glowing orange. It was almost as if it was burning like an intense heat. At this point, I was extremely excited and my focus switched from the object to, where's my phone? So I took my eyes off it and reached for my phone. I've got a little story to tell you about a Chinook helicopter. It's not UFO related, but you'll see how easy it is not to do things, not to film out or when you miss these things. Right, I quickly put it on camera mode, looked back through the phone, but unfortunately the object had disappeared. I didn't see it happen, but my husband did, and I was still focused on it. He told me that it just sort of sucked away to the point before it completely disappeared. I know that folk will think this is unfortunately. I know what folk will think, but this is unfortunately what happened. And I was trying to film, and I caught nothing of it. We all thought it would be on dashcam, as that was rolling at the time. We searched the footage, and to our surprise, there was nothing on the dashcam. How does that work? You know, probably a bit like when you take photographs at moon, and you a full moon, and you can see something that looks to your eyes, it looks like the size of a dinner plate. You take a picture of it, it's the size of a pea. But I don't know if it relates to this. To me, it was like it knew I was going to try and film it, so it disappeared. At this moment, I became terrified. Now, what do you know? At first glance, you could think, yeah, she's gone to take a picture and it's just coincidence, it's disappeared. But what induced the fear? It shouldn't do, it's gone. When they were watching, I'm saying it shouldn't do, like I know, I don't, do I? But you would think that when they're actually watching this object, that's when the fear would be induced. But it disappeared. And this is when I became terrified. I thought, if this thing, well, there you go. I thought, if this thing is going to, it knows I'm going to film it, then surely there's some awareness from either the thing or the beings controlling it. So she's not sure what she's been looking at, whether it's kind of intelligent light, as in the phrase that I coined in 2002, intelligent light forms, or it's a craft with some kind of intelligence inside it, or military. It could be some kind of military tech. We don't know, do we? Then I started becoming really frightened. I know it sounds daft, but the fear started to kick in. And I thought, what if it comes back and abducts us? What if we've alerted them to us? I became really scared. And we talk about this, and I'm sure you guys in chat talk about this kind of thing as well. We talk about it, when we're out on the cliff tops, that, when when you become aware of the phenomena, when it's something totally profound, even if you've no proof of it and it's just all anecdotal and you're just sharing it like we're doing now, when a person becomes aware of it, it's almost as though you're on its radar and you're open for more things to happen, and not that gullible that you're looking at a satellite and think you've been visited by some alien race. On about a true encounter, because proof differs for different people, doesn't it? Let's face it. Some people don't need much proof. It's the same with cryptid phenomena. Let's face it. Some people see Dogman and Bigfoot and werewolf type things in leaves, and they look for them in pictures where there isn't any, but find these shapes and then assume that they've been there all along watching them. Half the time there's nothing there. Let's get back to this. I'm rambling. Right. I became really scared. I rang my mum after discussing it with my husband and daughter about what we'd seen. My mum was intrigued, but my stepdad was listening, and as usual, he said, "It's a drone. That's all. It's not." He's completely skeptical. I can tell you it was no drone. It was massive, and it was clever how it was hidden in plain sight above the horizon. I wouldn't even have focused on it if it hadn't been for my husband knowing something wasn't right. I would have just thought it was a street light, even though in hindsight my mind was telling me it was something else. The street light is a street light is quite different to the others. This was quite different to a street light in colours and brightness. Anyway, as the three of us discussed what we had seen, it became apparent that we'd all seen something different at the same time in the same place. Now, we hear that loads of times, guys, don't we? Just bear with me. I mean, it's no great sort of masterpiece of drawing, the sketch what the ladies sent me, but it just gives an example. Let me see if I can find it. I would have had these loaded up if I could. So we've got that. I'll put that up in a moment. Right. I would say, do you call it a UFO? My husband thought he saw what looked like a burning castle surrounded by a village. That's crazy, isn't it? I saw something pixelated with rectangles on it on different levels. He said it looked my husband said it looked apocalyptic and from another dimension. He doesn't think it was a UFO, and all our daughter saw was just an orange disc. The only thing that we all know that we saw was an intense glowing orange. So that's the account, and this is the rough sketch that they sent me. Let's just hope it comes up. Come on. If it comes up. And it's not doing so, we're not going to give you the rough sketch that they sent me. There we go. So I'll click that off. And we'll try that another time. So let's just have a look at congratulations. Let's do this because we should have done it last week. Alison, who used to do the moderating and still does from time to time, got married last week. So congratulations, Alison and Dave. I've met Dave; he's a lovely guy. So all the best to them, and no doubt we'll see her in chat at some point again soon. Let's have a look. Hi all, much love. I'm just checking I've not missed any questions here, guys. I don't think I have. I think Lee had a few from other week, so we shall have a look. So you got that sighting. There's a few elements to that, isn't there? I know I couldn't get the picture up, probably because I'm live on air now. I should probably have loaded them on earlier. But three people all focused on this object, and they all see something different. So the husband thinks he's looking at something like a castle on fire in the sky. She's the wife. She thinks that she's looking at rectangles, and the daughter just sees a disc. Strange, isn't it? How does that work? And then the intense fear that sort of kicked in after the object sort of disappeared. Really strange. Let's have a look. We've got Alien 8. Have you been, or are you going to go to Cannock Chase? I've no plans to, but I've got an amazing story, and I'll be interviewing the people from somewhere very close. I'm not going to go into story too deeply here because I want to interview these people, and I want to get their account onto you guys. You can listen to what they've got to say. And this is the couple that were watching the herd of deer that ran into the meadow, and then they saw a black animal, which they assumed was a much bigger deer, run out behind them, and it got up on two legs. And I've known about this story probably for 2 years and spoke to them over the years. they weren't confident enough to talk about it, but they are now. I say that, and I hope so. I hope they are. I touched on earlier about going to take a photograph, and I did something really stupid in the week. I can't remember what day it was, but let's say it was Wednesday, and I'm driving back from one of our daughters in Caton. We're Mary, my wife, and we drive across the cars from Caton to Flixton, the flatland, the lake bed, the dried up lake bed. And as we're driving along, it's not UFO related, this, but it just shows how easy it is to do these things. Literally, I don't know, it was so low, a Chinook went straight across the road in front of us. I mean, literally, if I'd have been there 20 seconds sooner, I could have been out at car and it would have been above me. So we stopped the car. There were a pull in. I stopped the car, and I watch it going into the distance. I'm waving, and I've got the little DJI camera with me. That's all I'd got with me, and I'm sort of waving. And it banked. It come round, and it went along on the side of us, which you can see Staxton Wold, the radar base from where we were parked. And you know, you're in that basin, you're in that valley, and it's lower than valley. It's 500 foot above sea level, Staxton Wold. So this thing, that gives you perspective. It was much lower than the top of Staxton Wold. And you can see the people, and I'm putting thumbs up and waving. I'm thinking, I want this to come over the top. And it come round, went over onto the cars and come straight over the top of us, and I'm filming it. I thought it was brilliant. I can't believe it. And I'm thanking them, and really straight over and into the distance. And then I got that moment. I'd not pressed record. How easy is that? I told lads on Cliffs, I can't believe it. That's never going to happen again, is it? I'm never going to get one to give us a little fly past like that again. So I was really sort of disappointed. Mary got a few pictures on her phone. If she'd have done that with camera, I'd have gone mad. But I can only blame myself. So there you go, guys. But that just tells you, doesn't it? You know, when people say, why didn't you take a photograph? Or why didn't you film it? You know, I mean, here I am supposed to be looking into this subject, and we know that wasn't a UFO, but it was something, it were a little bit different, and I wanted to film it because it was so low. Forgot to even press record. How stupid is that? So, but can it chase, Andy? I've no plans to, and I think everybody knows I want to go to Ben McDewey, and I do want to go. I'm doing an interview with Chris Meek tomorrow. So Chris will be putting that out. I'll see if I can put a link to it when we've done it. I don't know how long it'll take him. So, you know, I'll speak to Chris about that because he's going to be guide to get up there. And yeah, that should be quite fun. I'm looking forward to that. And there's a few people want to go. See Blue Shift Rob's on, 212 Productions, Jan and Andrew, London Girl, we've done that. Mag Sue, Light Dazzles. It sure does. Let's have a look here. Right. Evening, Paul. Have you had any further info on the ghost sighting on Staxton Hill? No, and I know you were interested in that. I know this Andy's sort of interest. Well, lots of things unexplained, but ghosts in particular. No, I'm afraid I haven't. And obviously, until I get some more, I can't really fill you in on any more. I were hoping for some more on the strange sighting as well. You're talking about Staxton Hill, but Garraby Hill. The car coming up Garraby Hill that spluttered to a stop, and then the driver felt like he'd got cold hands touching him all over. Lots and lots of strange anomalies and sightings, but obviously, if I get any more on that, you guys will be the first to know. Let's have a look here. Question. What's the one experience that you've never told many people about because you're worried they wouldn't believe you? I think I've told it before. I've not told it in detail, and there's not a lot to tell. But it were Carl. It were Carl, the publisher of probably the second Truth Proof book, and he were doing editing as well. And it were when all the animals were being killed on a certain farm, and I were out in early hours at morning. And when I came back, my wife said that she'd seen something really unusual in the bedroom, as in about a foot down from the wall and across onto the ceiling. She said it was just like looking at the cast of Scooby-Doo. And I thought, that's crazy, that, isn't it? How nuts is that? And I wrote about it, and I sent it, and Carl wrote back, and I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, and his words back were, Scooby don't. you know, don't write about it because it sounds too ridiculous. But then I'm thinking, I believe that that's what she's saying she's seen. She's not done anything other than go to bed and sleep and woke up and seen it. I mean, it could have been some kind of weird dream. But isn't it interesting? I've not seen the new Spielberg film. There's mixed reviews on that. I have a few people that said that they've not enjoyed it and some people that said that they have. But the point I'm getting at, a little bit like Taken, Spielberg's series that was on a few years ago, the visitors, the unknown others, when they were interacting with humans, particularly younger people, they were appearing as things that were familiar, appearing as obviously. I think in Taken it were a rabbit, and as ridiculous as it sounds, because there'll be some people who thinking, Christ, this is a step too far. There'll be people who've experienced the phenomena for up close and personal will know exactly what I mean. And then you've got the owl phenomena, the people who claim to see owls, you know, and is it something masking as the alien beings? I guess that's what we're saying. Remember 1970, Christmas 1970, walking home with my mum and dad, and I saw the rabbits and the guinea pig. And how ridiculous does that sound? But do you know what? In light of this film, and that's the thing that people are suggesting, does it sound as ridiculous now? I mean, there's no way that Spielberg looked at my book or looked at my story and thought, I'll model it on that. He's way above my pay grade, what he's doing and what he's producing, isn't he? But it's strange, isn't it, that I've been talking about that for years and years, and it's the fact that you're seeing animals and things that shouldn't fit, that are being portrayed and displayed to human beings as something else. Is it to pacify us or is it to confuse us? I don't know what the reasons are. But there you go. See, Mel's in. We've done Alienate UK. We've done the Cannock Chase. I'll just keep going down a bit, guys. Let's have a look. Just have this tea. Let's have a look. I say I nearly didn't make it, and just a lot on. There we go. Plasma beings, light forms, basically shape-shifting entities, shape just to be able to appear basically as anything. What's your take on my take on this, Mike? Is that I think that I know we're only dealing with words and people's descriptions and how you've just worded it, but I think you're on the money. You know, as I said earlier, 2002, it might have been between 2002 and 2004. I kind of came to not that conclusion, but I named my website Intelligent Light Forms, not life, light forms, because of that. Because of the things that myself and Steve Ashbridge had observed on the East Yorkshire Wolds. And basically these were lights that seemed able to, I don't know, predict what we were going to do. Not unlike what the account I've just told, you know, where this lady went to take a photograph and it disappeared. Not unlike the police officer at Speeton in 2019, who was stood near the trig point and turned round and saw the figure of 8 shaped light, the maroon light with the darker band of red in the middle, went to take a picture or put his torch on. I'm not sure which now. His memory's sort of not clear on that one. I'd need to read up on it, but one or the other. Put his torch on or take a picture. But when he looked down to get his torch, it had disappeared when he looked up, being replaced by 3 lights. Then he went to take a picture. That's the correct method. He went for torch first. Never got to take a picture because every time he decided he were going to do something, it predicted whatever he were going to do. How do they know that? I mean, can these things read our minds? You know, it might not be mind reading as we perceive it, though. We don't know, do we? We certainly know that in the abduction scenario, when these beings have taken somebody, or do they even take people? Do we ever even leave our rooms or the place where they are? Are they taking the physical, or are they taking something else? The astral kind of thing, I don't know. But what I'm saying is we do know that no matter what country you're in, so meaning no matter what language you're in, it's universal that they can communicate with you. So they're definitely all knowing. And I say that with confidence, that because I know that what I saw as a child it were real. They weren't dreams. And what I saw in 1993 to 1998 weren't dreams, and they don't leave little holes in your arms and big holes in your back after you've seen them. So I know there's a reality. So I don't want to sound harsh, but I'm not bothered if people don't believe it. But there you go. Let's have a look. What's your take? Basically, I know that Mike didn't ask for that, but yeah, I think it could explain a lot. It could explain why these things, like Mike's hinting at here, are able to appear and look like other things. I've said it before when we've talked about the Fae, and let's not talk about little Tinkerbell winged fairies and things. Let's imagine it's some kind of life force that's tied to the land, some ancient life force. And what if their ability is to change shape and appear as different things? And you know, I'm not breaking new ground by saying this because I've said it before. But what if is that they've got something in their woodland, in their forest, in their home, essentially? What would be the best way to make somebody leave? What would be to appear as something that were really frightening? And what some of the things that we've talked about in Wolflands and people have seen are terrifying. And we know there's a physical. And well, let's jump to Steve and Jim in Broxton, but we know there's a physical. They could hear it breathing, but none of them saw it leave. Where did it go? They didn't just see a puff of smoke and it had vanished, but it was there one minute and it had gone another. It's a strange one, guys, isn't it? Let's just go down here a bit. I've got another report to tell. What's Winnie got? I'm calling you Winnie. Sorry about that, Ian. Paul, I'm glad you are going to speak about the Chinook. It goes to show how easy it is to mess up. Well done. To own it and respect it. Well, it's true, Ian. You know, it's so true. There were nobody more disappointed than me, and we'd got the communication with them. They weren't aliens, were they? But it went straight across car, front of car. I jumped out and I'm waving like mad, and it went round and it's sideways. And I'm repeating myself, but we could. That's how close we could see them. And it come over and I'm there and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be good. I'd even thought about a new intro for stream. And then when I looked, I thought, oh, you haven't pressed record. Nearly swore then. So, yeah, it's got to be said. And the lady, the last account that we've just told, or I've just told about the orange light, where 3 people perceived it as different. Now, me and Chris Mack went for that walk in the night a few months ago where we said we saw the figure that disappeared. Then... And I'm still working on that, guys, because I know I showed the bit of footage and there's the shadow. Everybody who's looked at it, when you look at it on the phone and that, you can see the shadow. It didn't show when I put it on a bigger screen or on here. So I've not get up on it. Let's put it that way. But what am I getting at? After we'd seen that, the figure, if you've watched that film, you'll recall that a light appeared on the hillside. Well, a guy got in touch with me today from Speeton, and thank you for doing that. And to tell me, because me and Ian, we've just had up there, Linny, we went to a farm probably, I don't know when it was, Ian, 2 years ago. And we went to see where a couple in Speeton had seen this fiery light on the field. They'd seen it from their home, and it were only across from back of their home to the field. And they'd seen it sort of get big, then get small, then rise into the ground and from the ground and look like a cigar-shaped object, then disappear. But he got in touch with me tonight, or this afternoon, should I say, to say the light that myself and Chris Mack saw on the hill, the sort of makeup and the look of it looked like what they were looking at on that field. So that's interesting. I don't mean it was the same thing. I mean, me and Chris saw that a couple of months ago, and this sighting that I'm talking about is 2024. I'm pretty sure it is late 2024. But it's interesting because it's Speeton once again. I mean, we saw that on the cliff tops at Speeton. He saw that just in the village, looking across the fields. But we're not looking at more than 500 yards away, this guy. So it's fascinating that, you know, it brings things and brings little reports out to the woodwork. So, you know, I thanked him for ringing or contacting me, and we had a phone conversation today about it. So I hope to go around and see him. Let's have a look. I'm glad. Linny says, I'm glad I'm speaking about. I've got to own it. If you've done it, you've got to own it, mate, haven't you? As you know, we've got to. Christopher, let's have a look here. Paul, the big cat sighting in Leven, could it be the same cat near your area? I would think it could be. You know, it's strange that you get reports of these things. They come in waves, don't they? And Buckton, the Buckton Pond, which is just out of Bempton, seemed pretty prolific for cat, or a big black cat being seen. I know there were a lady, I think she comes in chat, who'd seen it. She was going to tend to her horses in Speeton. So you've got Speeton, Buckton and Bempton, so it's in the middle. And she's going early one morning to tend to her horse in Speeton, and she thought it were a black Labrador crouched near the pond having a drink. When she slowed down, it was a big black cat. So there's no reason why not. There's another 2 reports come in about the cat, which I've got to talk to these people. And there's a lady that's contacted me quite a while ago who's got some footage. And for one reason or another, I've just not connected, but I will. And I've got some footage from another location of a cat. And I don't know what to do with that. I was tempted to put a little bit of it into the last film. I contacted the guy who'd sent it me and asked him, and he said I could, but I think it just deserves a little bit of a short film on its own. But I'd need a bit of commentary from man who filmed it. So yeah, that's the cats. It's just I might get to some of the cats. Let's have a look. We will do it. We will do in a moment anyway. Let's just have a look here. Paul, I watched Disclosure Day yesterday. A few scenes, the ET has appeared. There you go. I'd not seen this, Sean. So, as animals to the experiencer, I remember your video when you talked about the rabbits. Very interesting. I thought that as well, and I think there'll be a lot of people. They'll not feel like that's proof of what I'm saying, but it just shows, because no matter how good or bad this film is, and I don't know because I've not seen it, and I said there's mixed reviews, the scenes that are portrayed in the film have not come about by pure imagination. They've come about, I think, from real life events. Maybe not the events in the film are not probably based on true life events, but the things that happen to people. And it's a set point in question, so I'm glad you've sort of dropped that one in. So thank you. One sec, guys. Okay, well, let's let it go cold, don't I? Talking, I'm good at talking, aren't I? Right, Vorpa Blade, good to see you. My 3 stages on seeing strange: 1, amazement; 2, disbelief; then fear and fight or flight. Yeah, the fear. I think that, and I believe, Vorp, that they're all equally as important. And I think we, as researchers, as interested parties, and that's what we are really, aren't we? All of us. We all want the visual. We all concentrate on seeing the UFO or the light. That's what we're interested in. When we're probably missing a massive trick, because we should be investing as much time in the emotional aftermath when we've seen it, and any feelings that we have before we see it. And it doesn't have to be UFO related. Before any event of unexplained phenomena, we should probably, if there were a collective, a group of us, we should be going through it afterwards or before. Or, well, talking about the before, afterwards. Was there anything? Because a lot of these things get missed because we're just blown away by the sighting. And I think in the past, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years ago, most people involved in the subject were just stood there hoping to get sight of the phenomenon, not realizing that a bigger part, or at least as big a part of the experience, is what's happening around us before it happens and how we felt after it happened. And hence you get the people saying that after some kind of profound experience, they feel like they're switched on and the phenomena is aware of them. You've made its eyelids flicker and you're on its radar. That's why when people talk about the hitchhiker effect, which I don't mean does not exist, but I don't think it exists in the way that some people perceive it, as in it's something that kind of attaches itself to someone and comes home with them. I just think it's a thought process away. And if you can concentrate, almost like meditation, really, and you can connect with the unknown other. But you don't have to believe me, because it don't mean I'm right, does it? Let's face it. Shall we do another story, or shall we listen? Oh, I've got a short one here. Let's have a look at this. That's my back, that, not chair. Right. So I'm not going to say it name, and it's literally, it's short, but it just shows you what people are seeing and experiencing. I worked at the Tesco warehouse in Teesport, Middlesbrough for 7 years. One of my colleagues there, who is still a very good friend, told me about an incident that occurred, and I believe it was in the early 2000s. I am from Saltburn by the sea, and Kev is from Skelton in Cleveland. During an extended break, he told me his account after we got talking about the supernatural and associated subjects. It's only short, this, guys. Either that or I've lost a page, and then we're all going to be disappointed. He was driving back from his girlfriend's house on the Moors Road, known as West Lane, off the A171 Whitby Road from Danby back to Skelton at around 9 p.m.-ish. Early 2000s, this, guys. Trying to get back to Skelton for last orders at the pub. Oh, man after my own heart. I like that, don't you? Kev told me that he was chased by what he describes as a werewolf. Crazy, don't you know? I have to just, I don't shake my head. I just have to think in amazement every time I hear something like this. He said it was running after his car and desperately trying to get at him and the car. His description was the thing was upright on two legs, but swiping with its hands and arms, attempting to claw the car. And he believes it was definitely trying to get a hold of him. He only managed to get away when he accelerated his car to 60 miles per hour. When telling me the account, he got visibly emotional and upset and confided that he had told his accounts to friends in the past and just got the mickey taken out of him. What do you think? I mean, obviously, he could be lying. With all of these reports, could be lies, you know? But we only need one to be the truth, don't we? And that's all we need. And by the way, I'm not saying that because I believe the lies. I think a lot of the people that contact me are on the level and they've had profound experiences. Drew Hollings is pointing question. And if I'd got Drew's account up now, I'd tell everybody. I've just seen your name there, Drew. So we'll do that one next week. Well, we won't because we've got Jim Peniston on, all being well, but we'll do that in next week or two. It's a great story. Right. Let's see what we've got here. Paul, the cat and cryptid sighting. Does anyone keep records on what time of year they are being seen, or is it random? No, it's not always random. Although, to be honest with you, some of the things that are happening, particularly UFO related, have been in June, especially out at sea and along the cliff tops. Although, if this year's ought to go on, it's going to be a disappointment. But the sort of the documentation, the research shows that things that quite often have been seen in June. Well, let's have a think. January, February, there was a lot of activity in February. And that was February 2019. But February's come up quite a few times along the eastern North Yorkshire coastline. But I suppose anything, I mean, we're only there like a snapshot of time, and a lot of the things that I'm reporting on and talking about aren't necessarily from myself, any road, or our team, but the evidence sort of leads to where the evidence leads, and June leads to strange activities out over the sea, light forms in June. October's interesting for the cryptid phenomena. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. And some of the reports, once again, coming from totally unconnected witnesses, have been in October. So, yeah, I would say mold. I don't like calling you that, but I would say that it could be any time of year, but it does reveal a pattern that certain times of year just seem to peak a little bit. So let's hope we get surprised. What are we on, 14th? Because 21st of June, there's been a few things happening. We shall see, won't we? Let's have a look. We'll go down a little bit, guys. Questions in uppercase. And I say it every week, but if you get chance, which you have got chance, haven't you? If you're on your phone, your laptop or your PC, give us a like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. And what's it going to hurt you? You're just supporting us a little bit. Umbra Man, Zen Escape, Blue Shift Robs, all good. We've done all that. Let's have a look. The Sandman, it certainly opens your mind to alternative realities and phenomena. Yeah, I'm not sure what it applies to, but all I know is that when people have the experience, and if it's a profound one, it seems like they're switched onto it for life. And a point in question, I mean, the lady at Wilsthorpe, I mean, these people were either in the very late 70s or early 80s, and they'd lived there all those years. There was binoculars on the window ledge. Anybody that wanted to tell me that they'd had a misidentification, I'd have dismissed it straight away. I didn't see what they saw, but they'd lived there over 30 years. So they'd seen the helicopters, they'd seen exercisers out at sea, they'd seen all sorts of things from the window of their home. So I knew that they'd seen the real deal of these boomerang-shaped objects. I'm not saying that they weren't military, but I know that they'd seen something that was highly unusual. Let's have a look. Many congratulations, Alison. Linda says, yep, absolutely. I don't know whether Alison's in, but she might see this later. Philip Morgan, good to see you, Phil. Phil's one of the bravest people that we know. And I hope it's right, Phil Morgan, but I'm sure it is. Because when we're up there on the cliff tops, particularly in the winter, it is absolutely bleak, desolate. You know, and it might be worth, I don't know how much interest there'd be if we just filmed some of our nightly visits. Would people be interested in that? Just a snapshot of 30 minutes of a collective of different things and get a bit of information from the guys or would it be too boring? I don't know. But the reason I'm saying that is there's a few occasions that we've seen somebody way in the distance up on the cliffs, miles away. You know they're miles away because you see a torchlight. There's lots of hilly areas, similar to where me and Chris Mack saw that light. Well, that's quite high. So if somebody were walking 2 miles away, you'd see light. And eventually that light arrives with you. It's been Phil Morgan, wandering about on cliff tops. So he's a brave man. So there you go, Alex Thompson. Good to see you, Alex. And let's have a look. Thank you very much. That's appreciated and very kind. Let's have a look. I'm looking for any questions here. We'll do another story if there isn't any. We're joining tonight. What's this? You're in the car park? Hello, everyone. Joining tonight from the car park at Flamborough Head. Nothing paranormal. Got a portion of fish and chips. Next best thing. And Jay, I will say this to you. Make sure you pay for the parking. There's a camera on there. There's a few people slipped up, to be honest with you. Right, let's have a look. Spent a lot of time working with Chinooks, Paul. Brilliant. Thank you. I spent a lot of time trying to film one and made myself look rather stupid. But let's have a look. Michael Kirsty spent a lot of time working with Chinooks, Paul. While on operations in Iraq, we used them to drop off some pickup patrols. Always a buzz to see and hear them. Absolutely. I was thrilled, mate. Honestly, I was thrilled. And yeah, what do you do? Don't feel bad, Paul. It's almost like we're programmed just to respond to what we see or feel rather than automatically record. You're so right. Millennials, nearly did it, appear to be programmed to record and not respond. Yeah, don't give me a word like that again, please. Right, let's have a look. Question. It's from last week's show. What's the weirdest thing you have seen while driving at night? What a great question. And probably if Linny was sat here now or sat opposite on a screen, I think it would only apply to driving because I think that we've seen some weirder things whilst being stationary in these locations and with Steve Ashbridge up on the Wolds. But driving home just before you go to Newsome Hill, and we've got footage of this, and I think we've played it here. So anybody that's not heard it, you're going to hear it. Anybody that has heard it, I'm sorry, but you're hearing it again. But we're driving home one night. Roads are pretty wet, bit of drizzle. I'm in front. He's behind me. Got his dash cam on, luckily. And just as I'm passing the pond at Bempton, I see a flash of light in the sky, very low in the trees, just above the trees or just in the trees. Quite shocked me, to be honest with you. It didn't come from anywhere. I just saw it. Pulled the car in, I don't know, 500 yards in front. Asked Ian if he saw it. He said, I saw nothing. So that was weird. Then it gets a bit weirder. Oh, and then when we put the footage on, there's people saying it's my brake lights. Now, let's just clear that bit up. How could it be my brake lights? I can't see my brake lights. You know, when you put it up on Ian's dash cam, they're saying it's your brake lights, which have some kind of deflection or reflection up in the sky. Can't see my own brake lights, guys. Think about it. So anyhow, short time later, I don't know, 8 months, 6 months, I'm not sure at time frame, driving home again. Same scenario. I'm in front, Ian's behind, dash cam on. This time he's flashing me. And I pull over. He says, "Did you see it?" I said, "No." He said, "I thought your car had blown up." And when we look on his dash cam, there's literally an explosion of orange. As I go around the corner, there's just an explosion of orange light. And there's almost like a nucleus inside it. There's a white light inside it. So weirdest thing, I think that ranks with probably some of the weirdest things that I've seen while driving. You know, where you rack your brains and you forget half of it, and there's probably more. But that sort of tops it at the moment, guys. You know, and we've seen all sorts. And let's face it, we are looking, aren't we? We weren't looking for that. We were driving home, and once again, you've got a locational hotspot, I would say, because we've got the red light I saw, we've got the orange explosion of light that Ian's captured. It can't be denied. You couldn't call that brake lights. But then, I don't know whether it was just after, his dash cam once again caught something running across the road. Now you think, oh, anything can run across the road. It could be a human. It could be a deer. We've got enough on the dash cam as grainy and as low quality as it is at that distance in the night. Don't forget, they're not designed to film things, I don't know, quite a distance away, to know that this thing is 7 or 8 foot tall. How do we know that? Because there's the lights of the crossings at Bempton, and it passes the top of the lights. Whatever it is, the head of whatever it is passes the top of the lights. Now, people can deny or not want to believe it, but it's there. The footage is there. And we have played that, you know, so make of it what you will. Let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. There we go. Do you think something has attached to you and followed you home? I'm not. I think we just touched on this, Christopher. I'm not sure that these things attach to us. You know, and I think when you've experienced it and when your mind's absolutely focused and glued to whatever it is that's so out there, so extraordinary, that you're thinking about it, it's almost as though it can be anywhere. I don't think that time, space, or distance matters to the phenomena. I think it can be with you just through thought. You can connect with it. There might be some people thinking, well, that's a bit too much for me. I want the idea of it attaching to you and it follows you home. Well, if you want to go with that, go with it. It don't matter either way. These things do seem to interact with people when they get home. Last night, and a bit of an experiment, really. I don't know if he's in chat, but Bob's been wanting to get back up onto cliffs. And as you know, Bob Brown used to come up for years, and he'd had a few problems with his hip and what have you. So I just thought, well, I'll have a run up there with him tonight. And we went up for a couple of hours last night, and he did okay, to be honest with you. But he were talking about the light that he saw on the cliffs on the side of the hill, the square of light that he saw with Gemma, my daughter, was moderating. But that night that Gemma had seen that square of light, she got that growling sound behind her. Is it just coincidence? I don't know. You know, some people might chalk it up to coincidence. Some people might not, but each to their own. So whether it's followed us home, I think we've had interaction with something. And I think that interaction that people have in their own homes is stronger if you've had some kind of profound experience, if you're in the moment, because these things ebb and flow, don't they? You know what I mean? And we've been saying it for the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, that it's quiet up there. And even though it's been quiet, the odd things have been seen. But, you know, at the moment, it's quiet. Let's just have a look up here. We've got a little story, right. If money were no object, what experiment would you do to try and gain objective proof? Obviously, I understand High Strange is extremely elusive, hence the Truth Proof channel name. But yeah, and the subtitle 1139, which is the truth that leaves no proof, because it is. Everybody in here, unless you've just come in to sort of giggle and roll your eyes, or you've come in here because you think I'm making these stories up, which is what's being said. And I don't know how I can make these stories up when other people are telling me them. And most of the time I can get people to come on and talk about them. But let me just get back to it. if money were no object, if money were no object, and it is an object, isn't it? Let's face it. I'd love a piece of land, not me personally, for the team, up along these cliff tops, not necessarily Bempton, just along the East or North Yorkshire coast, where we could set up and leave cameras rolling, 24/7 recording, so people don't have to stand out. You want to one day we'll do a film because we've got all this film of the adverse conditions that we actually go to these locations in, and I mean adverse. I really mean absolutely freezing cold, torrential rain, coming back soaking, stood in dark places for hours on end, absolutely freezing. We're not martyrs, and there's other people do things just the same. I realise that, but to have a base to work from, so I don't know whether that would give us the proof definitive, but we'd have a better chance. And I dare say that you could incorporate other people within the team who might be there at other hours. But like you said, it's just pipe dreams because it said it's money when an object. Money is an object, isn't it? And money's tight for everybody at the moment, isn't it, guys? Let's face it. See Carl Danzing. Good to see you, Carl. Moondog, Light Dazzles, Lobby Lisa, Michael Bell. Excellent. So let's just go down here a bit. So what's this? Jim Woodard. Paul, the GCHQ facility has come out of Scarborough towards Ayton. Is supposed to be over the horizon radar communication. I reckon that place is probably great for detecting phenomena. I reckon you're right, to be honest with you. And I've been up there. I don't mean I've been to the base, but I've been up there. And I think other people realise it as well. And not necessarily unexplained phenomena or tapping into the unexplained phenomena, as there's many different ways or allegedly many different ways people try to do it. And some of it's through darker means. And I know that there's people up around that area. I know because of somebody, a few people I've spoken to in Hummonby who tell me that there's people up there going up there regular and trying to summon things. And I don't mean at the GCX HQ, but around that area. And I've known about that for years. And anybody that knows where the standing stones are and the stone circles are up there will know where I'm talking about. But there you go. Let's have a look. Why are there so few crop circles? I don't know, Lord Jim. I really don't know. And I've only ever seen one myself, and nobody else really got to see it apart from Farmer, because he didn't want nobody to see it. And that were nothing spectacular. It was just a circle, 60-foot round circle-ish. Didn't even measure it. But I don't know. Do you think that they're all genuine? I don't. I think a lot of these are man-made. And I suppose once one's been exposed as a fake, it's very difficult then if the genuine article appears for that sort of lie not to spread, and everyone's a fake then in everybody's mind. It's just like drip, drip, drip of poison, isn't it? Or drip, drip, drip of a lie taints everything like it. And that's the way of the world. Anybody knows about any crop circles, let us know. Don't put yourself down, Paul. Spielberg got his info. I don't think he got it from me though, mate. But I actually smiled when somebody, I think they put it on Facebook, and they put a picture of the Night People up, and then it mentioned the movie, and it mentioned your rabbits and guinea pig story from 1970. And I thought, yeah, well, there you go. Perhaps even if you still can't bend your head around that narrative, and that has come from somewhere. I didn't know about this, did I? Yeah, it's interesting. I'll try not to beat myself up. I think there's plenty of people like to do that. Let's have a look. Hi, Paul. Any reports from the Boynton Rudston area? Hey, Phil. No, I don't think there is. And you're a bit first to know. You guys are a bit first to know if there are any reports from that area. It's interesting, though, isn't it? It's a fascinating place, and everybody knows Rudston. I'm sure if you don't, it's the place of the tallest standing stone in Great Britain, which is a shame, really, that it's not publicised as much as Stonehenge. But there you go. Let's have a look. Shall we do another story here? Have we done this? we've done the werewolf one, guys, haven't we? So I want to tell you this one. So let's just do this. Are we good for that? Let's have a look. Yeah, let's see whether people. We think it's from 1996. Okay. So it's from Matt, and I thank you, Matt, for all kind words that you'd been saying about night people this week. It really appreciate it. I'll be honest with you. So let's have a look. For some years, I convinced myself that this happened in the summer of 1998. I think I've got this right. But after discovering some corroborating evidence in MOD reports, I now believe that it happened at the beginning of 1996, quite possibly on the day or on or about my 30th birthday. I recently turned 60, so this happened half a lifetime ago, but it is still fresh in my memory. I was in my car, a grey Nissan Bluebird, and my wife in the passenger seat, 2 children in the back seat. We were travelling along the B532 or the B5302. We had just been to Silloth for a doctor's appointment and were returning to Abbeytown on the road that runs from Silloth to Wigton in Cumbria. We came around the corner at Calvo and headed straight past the junction that leads to Brownrigg and Black Dyke Industrial Estate on the right. Okay, I don't know these locations, guys. As we drove along, I was on a flat approach to where the hill rises quite steeply, and that is known as King's Side Hill. At the time, I will have been travelling at around 55 miles per hour. I think it was late afternoon. It was a grey, overcast day, but visibility was quite good just the same. I was in the driving position, but the flicker of movement caught my eye from my left, and I turned to see what it was. On the other side of the road are fields and hedges and a few trees. Reads great, this, doesn't it? And there's a reason why, because this guy's a really accomplished author. And he might be in chat if you are. I don't want to say your surname because you don't want me to, but sold a lot more books than I'll ever sell. All I could see moving was what appeared to be a flat black horizontal line, like a plank lying flat. It was approaching at speed and about 20 to 30 feet in the air. In the next instance, the black line was directly in front of the car, and it came to a dead stop. Then flipped upwards and became a flat black triangle with slightly rounded points that looked about the size, and it looked about the size of a house. Wow, that must have been incredible. Can you imagine that? Literally just comes to a dead stop. That don't sound like man-made tech to me, does it, you? There was no noise from the object, and it was flat and featureless, and it was matte black in colour. It had 1 point at the top and 2 at the bottom and was equilateral. Now, I've just realised, and I'm guilty of this, Matt, if you're listening, you sent me some pictures and I haven't got them prepared because I've just been flying about today. No excuse, but that is my excuse. Right, and right, well, let's have a go. At the bottom and was equilateral. At this time, it was only about 15 foot ahead, stationary over the road, and it was almost filling the entire windscreen of the car. I braked and swerved, thinking that I might hit the object and ended up on the opposite side of the road, facing oncoming traffic. Luckily, there was none at this time. As this happened, the black triangular shape shot directly upwards and out of view at an incredible speed, 90 degrees from where it had come to a stop. I craned my neck to look, but could no longer see it. I then realised that I was on the wrong side of the road and that my wife and kids were all excitedly shouting about what had just happened. I think we all would, wouldn't we? That's incredible, isn't it? Don't you think? I began to manoeuvre the car back into the correct lane. Then again, from our left, 2 obviously identifiable military jets came screaming over us and banked up into the sky as though chasing the black triangular object. We often see military jets flying on training exercises along the Solway coast, and these were so close that we could see all the features very clearly. I was shaken by what happened. I remember looking the next day to see if I could see any black debris that might have been carried away on the wind or in the adjacent field, but I saw nothing. And I'm assuming that Matt is thinking to himself, could there be an explanation for this? Because we all do it. That's what we've got to do. I tried convincing myself that it must have been a military remote-controlled target or something. There were remote-controlled targets back then, but subsequent checks did not find anything remotely resembling the black triangle that we saw being chased. I am under no doubt that the jets were chasing it. Yep. I recall searching newspapers for any reports of the triangle, and I was stunned to read a similar report of military jets chasing a black triangular object over Balmoral Castle in Scotland, and also reports over Belgium. So this is 1996, people. So he's in the zone. He's on the money into with those triangular sightings. I know that there have been a number of sightings of similar craft since then, so my sighting probably doesn't sound so wild now. Well, I think it does, guys. What do you think? I think it's an absolutely incredible sighting. I'm so pleased that Matt shared it with us. One thing I'm confident about is that it was a craft of some sort, man-made or otherwise, but it remains unidentified. It was very definitely not a military jet or unmanned target. Drones didn't exist beyond remote-controlled planes at that time, to my understanding. To me, the triangle defied what I recognize as possible. And well, the way this is read, literally just coming to you in a dead stop. And why you? Why in front of a car with wife and children in? Why does it want to acknowledge? If it were, I would have thought, I could be wrong, but if it's something military being tested, it's not going to perform like that and stop in front of a car. But what do I know? It had no apparent engines or flat surfaces and performed movements and acceleration defying belief. I saw no space where a pilot could have been housed. It wasn't a stealth bomber, as it didn't have the same wedge-shaped profile. It was flat like a plank. It went from flying at speed to complete dead stop, then flipped up to reveal a triangle shape, held its position, then accelerated away beyond belief. Incredible, isn't it? All without making a sound or making any disturbance to the atmosphere. I'm not claiming it was extraterrestrial. I can't, but it was otherworldly in that I cannot find anything remotely like it in any military inventory to this day. And can you guys, have you put it in chat? We might get to it. Put it in chat what you think he could have seen. Do you think it's true unknown? I think it's fascinating me. Recently, I dug into the internet to find information and discovered the MOD reports regarding the jets chasing the UFO over Balmoral, the Balmoral incident, which occurred around the same time. So yeah, that's about it really. So what do you think to that, guys? I thought that was stunning, absolutely, and thank you, Matt. I want to say your surname so people can look at your books, but you might have already put it in here, and if not, we'll sort that because. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Gregor Matney, Paul, you've done several adventures about Cannock Chase. I must go there. No, I haven't. You've done? No, I haven't. Have any of you info on why the Luftwaffe aircrew? No, I haven't. And to be honest, Gregor, Cannock Chase is not a place that I've really covered at all. Apart from what we've called the Black Deer, which I'm going to be interviewing the witnesses about, and I've known about that story for probably 2 years, and I just knew it were worth waiting because I wanted to speak to them, and I knew eventually I would get to speak to them. I don't know a great deal about Cannock, so yeah, you've probably got the wrong man there, mate. Let's have a look. Could you recommend a good physical magazine that explores mysteries of the unknown? Well, there's the Nexus magazine, but that doesn't just cover mysteries of unknown. But that's one that'll be on newsstands. There's the Fortean Times, and the Steve Meares Phenomena magazine. And I'm not sure. I don't want to say Chris Evers's OLM magazine, Outer Limits magazine, for no other reason than I don't know whether he's still doing it. So if Chris is in, let us know. Let's have a look. But yes, so there's good magazines. I mean, I know that they're there. I just don't watch them, read them. I don't read nothing, to be honest with you, hardly. Let's have a look. Great to see. Thanks, Mark. Great to see the map back on the wall. And this is Mark Rhodes. Obviously, everybody knows that because I've just put his name up. But I really enjoyed spending time with Mark, his sister, and her partner a few years ago because Mark had got a lot of interest. Well, they all had, but Mark had got a lot of interesting things to bring to the table, so to speak, to talk about. So I hope you end up back up there, mate. I really do. I'll not go into detail because I think you could do it better than me. If any government official privately offered you full and truth about one mystery, which mystery would you choose and why? Hunmanby, without a doubt. It's in my mind. I mean, there's bound to be some accounts and some experiences and stories out there that just blow Hunmanby out of the water, but I don't know them. And I've listened to all the big sort of sightings, Roswell, Rendlesham, and Wilsthorpe, which we've looked at, and Kecksburg and the Phoenix Lights, all these big sightings that have stood the test of time. And to me, Hunmanby is as big as any of those sightings. But I know for a fact that if I spent time on Hunmanby, I couldn't do anything else. I think you'd struggle, because if you started really digging into it, I'm still waiting. I still know that there's going to be people out there that are going to come forward. But I do hope to be doing some work on Hunmanby with Nick, who's the son of one of the witnesses, because he's brilliant with a camera, and he's wanting to do some work on Hunmanby with me. So I do know that we will be having a look at that, and it might be the only way to go. And what better place to sort of start when you've got Nick, who were actually there as a teenager. He actually experienced some of the things. So I don't think you could get anybody, it may be a bit too close, better place than Nick and his brother Dave to do a bit of work with you on the Hunmanby incident. So Hunmanby, for people that don't know, I think it's in book 3. I hope it is. Now I've just said that because somebody might buy book 3 and it's not in. Let us know, people. Is it in 3 or 4? And basically, multi-phenomena event. I'm not going to go into it in detail tonight because I know a lot of you guys in chat will have heard it, but 1996, 97 and 98, poltergeist activity, every type of phenomena that you could imagine was presenting in this this warehouse unit at Hunmanby, culminating, or if you want to say climaxing, with a UFO landing at the back of the compound, but not a UFO in spectacular fashion. In the words of Andy, who saw it, a little flying saucer, like something from the 1950s or 60s, with a bubble on the top and a little being inside it. And that's as glib as Andy said it, because he still doesn't believe it were real. He believes everything that happened to them over that 3-year period. The coins dropping from the air, the gravel dropping from the air, the footprints on the cars, everything that they saw and experienced. And there's a catalogue of it, as you guys know, because you've heard me talk about it. Obviously, he were immersed in it. He lived it for 3 years with the other witnesses and his 2 sons, who'd come on a weekend or odd times on the night. But the UFO still can't bend his head around that. Still can't bend his head around it. Did he see it? He put his hand up and said, of course I saw it. But it can't have been real. That's how much this event impacted him. He can't believe it. And how incredible is that, guys? We're all sat here now. I had these experiences in childhood where I saw these beings. But these are vague memories from I don't know, 55 years ago. You know, this is from when did we say it? Well, 1998, I think the Hunmanby incident. We think that's when it was. We're trying to nail it down. They were there for 3 or 4 years, and all 3 men saw a landed UFO. It's like someone from Close Encounters, isn't it? And where? On our doorstep, just between East and North Yorkshire, on the edge, 6 miles from where I'm sat now. But then that's nothing. If you think about it, I don't mean that Hunmanby's not incredible, because it is. But I went onto the cliff tops with Bob Brown last night, and we're talking about the square of light that he saw with Gemma, which we've touched on. Then we're talking about this picture he's taking of a kestrel hovering above the hill, and suddenly this shape comes into view on the hill that can't be denied. And what happened was, and Gemma's in chat, Gemma's doing moderating, she'll not have picked up on this because I only sort of connected last night. I think my tea lady's here. Thank you. Can you set that, please? Right. And then Where were we? So Gemma saw the Square of Light, 2019. I think it was 2019. No, 2020. It was 2020, and it was February the 7th, 2020. So she saw the Square of Light with Bob. I don't know whether it was a year after Bob filmed This Shape on Hill. But interestingly, Gemma were with us on both occasions. I'd not really joined them dots before. You know, when people say, what were the ingredients that created the strangeness? And I'm not saying she was ingredient, but she were with us on both occasions. Don't forget, me and Bob were visiting those cliff tops 4 or 5 times a week. And the things that happened were infrequent. Yet, this is the Square of Light. Then a year or so later, taking a picture, the shape appears. And we went up to where the shape was, and the shape's bigger than me or her. And it appears on the hill. It looks like something crouched down. It's weird. We've got that picture. Bob's still got it on it. Got it, and he sent it me ages since. I'll have to dig it out. But that weren't my question, was it? All right. If the government officially fully right, well, we were doing Ormonby, weren't we? And I've just gone off on a tangent. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Let's have a look. Right, Yosemite Sam. My wife saw the shadow on the film that you and Chris filmed, but I couldn't see it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sam, because Chris Mitchell's already worked on it for me. Nobody's adding anything to this. The shadow is there. You heard me talking about it 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I put the film on. And obviously, because I can't see what you guys are talking about in chat. I didn't know whether you could see it or you couldn't, because I can see it. You don't have to strain your eyes to see it. Once you've seen it, it's there. But the feedback that I got was that most people couldn't see it. So I'm glad that your wife could see it, because Chris has worked on it and improved it a bit. As I say, we're not adding to it. We just want to highlight the shadow, because what does it prove? It doesn't prove anything in a way, but it was probably 5 minutes, no more than 10, after myself and Chris said we'd seen a figure stood at the post in the darkness. And then we went back to where we'd been standing to check that we couldn't have been mistaken, or there was nothing there that could have created that illusion of somebody being there. And I didn't know about this. Because then I went and subsequently did another film in the daylight, walked through it, which I've still not put out, to show you guys the location in daylight and why it can't be this or it can't be that, and why that light that came on the hill couldn't have been a rock concert taking place, because literally there's miles of nothing behind you, or it couldn't have been anything else that was suggested. But when I put that short 10-second segment of film on the new film, but film from the night it happened, I noticed a shadow go past us, literally walk past us. I don't know how it works, but it's there. It gives us confirmation of something, but I want a bit more proof. Your wife could see it. I want everybody else to say, oh, God, yeah, I saw it. It's not going to prove anything. It's not. It proves that there's something else there that isn't us. We're stood still. So we shall see. Eventually, I might get it sorted. Let's have a look. Eric, Steve Meara's Phenomena magazine. Blue Shift Rob says, yeah, you're spot on, Rob. And let's have a look. Do we think the fear feeling is a defense mechanism? And if so, could this mean cryptids and UFOs are related? Difficult one, isn't it? Or could it be the same phenomena, just presenting in different forms? I don't think it is, but we're just throwing that out there. I don't know, Christopher. But the fear, so many people now, I mean, we're catching on to the fact that, you know, I caught on to it after Steve, whilst making Wolflands, said the fear was not his fear. The fear that he felt looking at that creature, the fear was being put onto him by that creature. Now, and like, you don't think about these things until, you know, sometimes the penny don't drop straight away. Then we've got Mark, who comes on Cliff Tops with us, and you know that we've talked about Mark camping in all sorts of places, in remote places, and it just doesn't bother him. He's not the kind of man that gets frightened by walking about in dark places and unfamiliar places, because let's face it, if anything's going to, I don't know, disturb you or frighten you, It can still do it in daytime. It's only the nighttime that gives us that edge. But what am I going with? When Mark had the fear that dropped on him, he said it weren't his fear. Said it were almost like he'd walked into it. I don't know. Is it something, Christopher, that's maybe unknowingly triggering the chemicals within our body that create fear or make us have the feelings of fear? I really don't know. I don't know. As fast as you think of something, some sort of comes up to sort of dispel that, because you say that, and then he said he walked through it and walked out of it. It were almost so it lifted as he walked out of it. So I don't know. But could it mean that are related? Yeah, they could be. It's all related, Christopher, isn't it? Let's face it. All of this great unknown that we're immersed in is to some degree related. I believe it is anyway, because we've got, and I say it every time, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, guys, but we've got the same threads of sameness running through it all. The mind speak, spiritualism, clairaudience, the mind speak, the cryptids speaking to people directly into their minds, allegedly. The alien abduction scenario, the mind speak. So they're all using the same exotic science. Do you not think? I think so. But is it one universal intelligence that's just posing as the different things? I don't know. Will we ever know? Will we ever get disclosure? I know there's so much talk about it, isn't there? Hold on. Right. There we go. Let's just do this. See whether there's any more questions, people. Put my hand on my chin like that. What am I doing that for? Let's have a look. Evening all. Paul, do you ever hear any more about the entity that was reported? Thank you, Neil. I've sat down on the seafront with the man who gave me the account. Obviously, we can't sit on a cruise ship and do it, but Roger, they call this guy, and he were a musician on the cruise ship, on that very ship. And I thought, well, it'd be good to get this account, with the sea in the background and the setting. And I've not had time to do it, so there's no reports on it, or no more reports on it. However, when you hear Roger relay his account, and I'm going to want some cruise ship footage and things just to break it up, otherwise it's just a talking head, isn't it? But when you hear Roger relay this account, and there's a few other things that happened on board that ship as well. He told me about there was a room designated for the dancers, the girls and men, I suppose, who used to do the dancing to the music and to the bands that were playing on the cruise ship. And when they were in that room, they would lock the door because they didn't want intrusions and what have you. And there was somebody that would appear in this dancing room, a man that would appear and walk about, which frightened them to death. There's a few accounts on that boat, so I'm hoping, Neil, that when I finally get this story out, some passengers who've been on this ship, I think it was called the Contessa, and I'm hoping that some passengers maybe might come forward and say, we saw that. And if nobody knows what Neil's on about, it's a cruise ship. And I'm not going to pretend I can remember it year, because I can't remember it year, but it's a few decades ago when this man worked on the cruise ship as a musician. And in the huge dance hall or dance floor on board this ship, allegedly, get this, a red London bus would appear. Literally, blink of an eye and go. Can't have been solid, can it? But what is it? And it wasn't just once. It happened a few times on different cruises. What's happening there, guys? I wreck my brains, because they've been out in Caribbean when this has happened. You could understand if it was some theatre in London, or even then it takes you a little bit to bend your head around, but you could understand that a little bit, or you could accept that. But middle of Caribbean on a cruise ship. So, I mean, not the theory, but the thoughts I've been going along with recently are, could it have been, I don't know, some projection from a member of the crew that were able to do this? I don't know. I'll tell you what, the proof will be in the pudding. Do I believe Roger's telling me the truth? I do. I really do. He's relaying this story as he remembers it from years ago. But I really hope somebody comes forward and sort of backs him up, because that's what he's looking for as well, by the way. So I will get to that one, Neil. Everything takes time, mate, doesn't it? You know, what's this with Dave? Dave Barker, good to see you. I thought the short story, voice recordings, is a good idea. But most in here have a story. I think so, Dave. And I really hope that some people come forward. You just record it on your phone. I'll just add a bit of footage to it. It doesn't have to be even relevant to the story. But if you've got a story that you want to share, and we could put 3 or 4 of them out a week, or just one. I've got one now. So I'm glad you've put that up, Dave. It's sort of prompted me, because I would have forgot. And I was contacted by a guy called David Dane. David's a good friend. He's been a friend of mine for about 12 years. We've talked about the Unexplained for 12 years. If anybody wants to know anything about David, type in David Dane artist, and you'll see that his work is it's absolutely incredible. And he paints scenes from the Norfolk Broads. He's a very well-known artist. So I have a look at David's artwork, and he just let me record something that he told me literally this morning. So and he did say to me, put some of my artwork up to accompany it. Well, I haven't done, simply because knowing the machine that is YouTube, it's going to say I've took some copyrighted images, even though he's verbally given me permission. So I've just put a little bit of footage up of walking along cliff tops in mist. It does not apply to David's sighting. So David's sighting's 3 minutes long, his experience, and have a listen to it. Now, we spoke actually for about 45 minutes, but I've just sort of cut this out, because obviously you don't want to listen to 45 minutes of waffle from me, by the way, not David. So let's put this on, have a listen. We might get to some questions about it, we might not. So, and thank you, David, for allowing me to record this.
Well, it's David here, David Dane. I'm just giving you a quick call because I had quite an extraordinary event. The Friday night just before Christmas. And where we live, it's very quiet, very out in the sticks, and it's very dark. And I opened the front door. This was approximately 7 p.m. And as I opened the front door, there were 2 bright globes of light went over and crashed into the field right next to me.
Wow.
There was no sound at all. And I stood there absolutely flabbergasted because they were so bright.
I bet you did. Before you carry on, can I guess at colour? Were they gold and yellow?
They were sort of a goldy yellow colour, yes.
Wow.
Extraordinary. I stood there for several minutes actually transfixed because I wasn't quite sure what I'd seen.
Right.
So that was the beginning of the story. And the next morning, because I get up very early here to feed the birds actually, I was actually outside. My wife was still in bed. And when I came back in, this was 6 o'clock. She said, David, she said, you just had a phone call. And I thought, well, who the devil is phoning me at 6 o'clock in the morning? So I picked up the phone and there was no message. So I did a 1471, got the number, phoned it back, and it turned out to be a police officer's number. He said to me, well, how did you get my number? I said, well, you just phoned me. And he said, I haven't touched my phone this morning.
Jumping back to these globes of light, how far away were they from your home?
Oh, gosh, 20 yards perhaps.
Oh, so that close.
Yeah, they were very close. It really startled me. You know, I didn't know what I was dealing with for a few minutes, but there seemed to be no residue in the field. I couldn't see any signs of anything crashing, and I certainly didn't hear anything.
So I take it like later that day you've probably walked over and had a look, have you?
Yes, I have.
There you go, guys. What do you think? And I didn't just cut David short when he talked about the police officer. I've just condensed that. We went on a little bit more about the police officer and the fact that we were sort of chewing over whether it was just coincidence. What do you guys think? David doesn't know. The number that he rang, because I said, you know, it was a mobile number. and he didn't recognise the number. He didn't know who it was that had rang him, and it was evident that the person he called had not phoned him prior to that, or had he? What it's something to, I don't know, to rattle David, unnerve David? What it connected? What do you guys think? It's one of them we're never going to know. But don't you find that fascinating? Because he lives, as he says, in a very remote area. It's on the edge of a nature reserve, to be honest. And he said they were about 20 yards away from him. Came down and crashed into the field. And no sound. Huge globes of orange to yellow light. And I mean, it would have shocked you, wouldn't it? But the silence. And David sort of had the sense, or the enough about him to go and have a look later. And there's no marks on the floor, no scorch marks. There's nothing to say anything had been there. So I don't know what you guys think to that. And that, let's just jump briefly back to Speeton. Excuse me. And when me and Linny went to that farm to look where this huge fiery orange light had been seen in the field, I don't mean we were certain we were going to find scorch marks or burn marks, but I'd spoken to the witness at length. He'd been to my home, and we'd spoken at length about what he'd seen with his partner and her son, and Steve actually. And the thing were, when we got to the field, we knew where he'd seen it, and it's not far away, 400 or 500 yards tops. There's nothing. Everything's just the grass is as green there as what it was throughout the entire field. So that kind of tells us something, doesn't it? That although these things are looking like flame, does it tell us there's no heat being emitted from it? It's fascinating, isn't it? The plot thickens. But what do you think, guys? What's your thoughts? When the crops are high, I suppose there's less sightings of big cats. Yeah, well, you're right, Christopher, because you heard Nick when the short cat film that I put on last week or earlier in the week. When he crossed the road, it had just gone. There was one scene at Danes Dyke a few years ago, and I got talking to a farmer who was in between the dikes in a field, and I don't know what he was doing, but part of his job was not cutting the crops, but I don't know, fertilizing the land or whatever. But the machine he was in was high up, and he told me that whilst working in Danes Dyke, and in this machine that's high up, he saw a cat, a beige cat, not a black one, a beige cat, enter the crop. He says, and all I could see was its tail. And so it's not drooping down, its tail was up. He says, I could see its tail. So that's interesting, but somebody said earlier, do you think some of these cats are the same ones? So the one that's seen at Leven, could it even be the one at Bempton? Well, how many miles away is it? 18 miles, is it? Is it 15 to 18 miles? It's not inconceivable that with the huge range that these animals have, that I don't think that we've got a sort of lots and lots of these cats roaming. It could be that it's the same ones that are just being seen, and that's why we see these sightings are quite prolific at certain times of year, and they're just moving about. I don't know, but like you said, or like you say, when it's slipped into the crop, it's not going to be seen. Incidentally, and I'll not go into great detail, but at Buckton, and I'll not say where, but it's the chance that some people are listening, so please get in touch. A black cat was seen moving. The crop had been cut, and it's when the straw is piled in like long rows. I don't know, maybe 12-inch high. You see them in the field, don't you? After they've cut it, and then they collect it up and bale it up. And a cat were moving along one of those rows, and they were watching it from their property at Buckton. So if you're watching this, you know who you are, get in touch, because I were only on about it a few days ago to lads. But the interesting thing here, we say there's nothing paranormal or mystical about the cats, and I don't think there is, but this is interesting. They said, how you see things sort of jump and then pounce? It pounced into that corn, the stubble, and they never saw it again. That's interesting, isn't it? That's the story. So I'd like to hear some more about that. Let's have a look. Louie Lisa, this happened quite a lot to me, as with love. Just said, Paul, as with you. Oh, as we just said, Paul, I've been looking into Jim Penniston's messages again this week. Brilliant. Well, let's hope that Jim gets himself onto the stream next Sunday. I'm really looking forward to speaking to him. I've told him what a great bunch of people we have in chat and what interesting, thought-provoking questions that is going to get asked. And let's see if that we can make it a good stream for him, because essentially, just like I said to you guys, it's his stream, because without the guest, without you guys firing these questions at me, there's nothing, you know? So thanks, Lisa. Let's have a look. Stephen Collin, 21st of June, summer day night, asked Jojo and Andy about Willie Howe and what we experienced. We ain't got time though, have we, Steve? But I don't mean that in a brash way, because I want to hear about it. So we'll definitely do that, Steve. And it might be one for you to come on and share with us for half an hour one Sunday if you want, because it sounds like something else has happened at the burial mound. So I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look. Michaela Simmons, good to see you, Michaela. The government know, police know, soldiers know, pilots know. They cover everything up. 100% lie. Well, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of people know. There's a lot of people know little bits, isn't there, Michaela, you know? And as a collective, I suppose, I don't. If we did put it all together, we're going to get the full picture. And there's people out there that just don't want us to get it, isn't there? Let's face it. Incidentally, your sighting is as good as a cryptid sighting as any I've heard. But we'll get to that as well at some point, I'm sure. But I hope you will. And let's have a look. Benjamin Hollingsworth. There's a big cat sighting in Coventry. Binley Police investigating. Brilliant. That's good, Benjamin. Thank you. Absolutely loads. It's brought a few out. I did have a few. I don't know whether whether we want to do them. I don't know what I'm doing here, do I? Oh, there they are. Let's have a look. We'll do these. We'll do these before we go on. Oh, there's bits of paper all over. Right. So this is at Huttonley Hole, which is up in North Yorkshire. And it's from a guy called Mark. I'll not say his surname. Good afternoon, Paul. I've been talking to gamekeepers from my village of Kirby Moorside. He's seen a pair of beige cats twice in the last month. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because I'd also had a report of one beige cat up around Barmore. And you guys might not know where Barmore is, but it's pretty close to this area that he's talking about. So that's where we get it. And I'll have to get that report together. Right, last month, where he's been breeding, where he has a breeding unit of 2,000 pheasants in the woods up at Huttonley Hole. He seems to think it's the same big cats that have been reported in Rosedale Abbey by people camping. Now, there you go. What do you think to that? 2 or 3 trail cameras have been set up to catch the cats on camera. A farmer has also reportedly seen it in the early hours of the morning near his farm at Cropton. Now, that's interesting because when we made Wolfland, not cat related, but, you know, we got cryptid sightings from around Cropton and Stape. I will let you know when I speak to the gamekeeper if he gets footage of his cameras. It's weird, Paul, how people open up. I just said, have you seen anything else strange to the gamekeeper? And he told me this. So we've got another one off the back of that. And I'm hoping that I get to speak to these people because I do like first-hand accounts wherever possible. But this is interesting, so I think it's great and worthwhile to share with you guys. So it's 3 gamekeepers. It was the summer of 2018 when 3 gamekeepers saw a triangle up in Cropton Forest. So here goes, 8 years ago, whilst lamping for rabbits. It was about 2 or 3 in the morning, and there was 3 of them, and they had been shooting for about an hour. They were high on a hill in Cropton Forest, and one of the men noticed a dark object approaching. The men too had mega bright lamps to flash the rabbits and other game out, and 2 were on the Land Rovers. I'm assuming 2 lights were on the Land Rovers. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, a blinding beam of light hit the 3 men, and for a time they were totally blinded. The gamekeeper was not aware of how long it happened for, but they were that scared that they tried to start the Land Rovers, but none of them would start. The UFO had no lights, and it was just a dark triangular shape. When the beam of light went out, the UFO vanished into the clouds. Now, this is the bit that I find fascinating, and it is quite disturbing. The next day, all 3 of them had burnt faces like they had been on holiday. So that's pretty close, isn't it, to something? And do you want to be that close to something like that? What do you think, guys? I'm not sure I would want to be, but yeah, there you go. So hopefully you'll be hearing some more about those, not just the cat sightings, maybe the UFO sightings. It depends. It depends whether you can sort of get enough trust from the people that you're talking to, because it's difficult to, if I say I'm not going to reveal a name, I don't. But not everybody will take your word for that, will they? Let's face it. Okay, guys, let's just go down a bit. So what's this? Christopher Withers, I will never miss Truth Proof, even when the World Cup is on. Thank you. Well, I don't know. Well, I won't admit I'd sort of miss World Cup, to be honest. I'm not a massive football fan, but full credit to people that are. But I'll just take a moment here just to say, anybody interested in the books that I write, the Truth Proof books, so I'll usually forget. There's 5 books, so there's 3 of these, 1, 2, 3, and 4, obviously. And then there's The Night People, which used to be a picture of that. It's not there anymore. There's Truth Proof 3 at the back of me, but there's The Night People, which is about my own experience, my own and my family's experiences, and they can be obtained on Amazon via Kindle, the Kindle downloads, or you can get them from the website truthproof.uk or on eBay. And you can also get our DVD Wolflands, which myself and Les made, and I'm going to sound biased, but I think Wolflands is brilliant. I think it's best film on cryptids that's out there, certainly in UK. But that's just my word. You don't have to believe me. But you can get that on Amazon Prime or truthproof.uk or eBay. If they're ordered through the website or on eBay, if anything were ordered tonight, it'll be in post tomorrow. That's how I work, and that's how it always goes out. Just read reviews. I read reviews on books. Don't buy books. I'm not bothered whether you buy them or you don't. And I don't mean that with any animosity, because there's no great profit in selling books, I'll tell you now. But if you do buy them, it's just supporting us a little bit. Okay, guys, that's my little bit over. I'm not really the best salesman in the world, am I? Right. Davos pork pie. Pies. Yes, we love pies, don't we? I remember my mate and his dad turning up for work one morning about 10 years ago. Both shook up and swore they'd seen a huge black cat cross in front of them near Loo in Cornwall. Yeah, and I dare say that they did see it. And I find it fascinating, that myself and Chris Wright have put these films on in the forests of North Yorkshire where these cats have been seen. We've not put any evidence of the cat. We've not seen the cat, but we've still got people saying, "Oh, you're not going to see him because you're talking." Well, we're making a film and talking about the cats. But what I'm getting at is there's hundreds of comments, mainly in favour of the cats being there or people that have seen the cats. You still get people in the comments saying, odd ones saying, "There's no such thing. These don't exist. There's not enough food. There's not." I think read the comments. It's overwhelming. The evidence from the visual evidence from people who are reporting these things is absolutely overwhelming, and more power to people like Nick for coming forward, and Dave for sharing their sightings. And there'll be a few more from that area. I won't say next few weeks, but in next month or so. I've just got that much to get through. Let's have a look. Michael. Rumour has it that Spielberg has got the full set of Truth books. I don't think so, but wouldn't it be good? Yeah. And rumour has it, yeah. That's as far as we'll go. Right, let's have a look. Sunday, where Wolverine, awesomeness. Thank you. We're all good. Paul, really enjoying the content. Do you ever wonder if all this phenomena is universe winding us up? Could be. It is whatever it is, Sam. Whatever it is that's interacting with us, nobody seems to get the ultimate proof. We've got some good proof, as in visual proof of strangeness that we've filmed. We don't know what it is, do we? At the end of the day, we're not 100%. We can't say cast iron that it's otherworldly. We know that it's not conventional. But my gut feeling is it is from somewhere else. It is an unknown other, and not something that's man-made that's top secret. And why do I think that? Because the descriptions of the light forms, the ILFs, haven't changed for decades and decades and decades. So if it was some secret stealth man-made tech, you would think, wouldn't you guys, that this technology would have improved from the 1950s and 60s. Yet when you look at the diaries, because that's what they are, it's a diary as such of the old lifeboat logs and Coast Guard logs, and the descriptions of the lights seen out at sea for these multiple call-outs from Hornsey, Flamborough, Withensea, all these boats that have been sent out to look for a boat in distress or a plane in distress because people are reporting unexplained lights. The actual description of the lights has not changed in 50 years. So if it were some kind of man-made technology, you would think it has, or it would have changed. Even the kind of the movements and the way that these things appear and disappear has not changed. So that, there's a pattern formed there. I mean, this is where if money were no object, we went to that question, didn't we, an hour and a half ago or an hour ago? If money were no object, this is where we would have a base to work from and to set cameras up and have the observationals on 24/7 basis, and it wouldn't just be relying on a group of people that are out there in adverse conditions at all times of the year, hoping to catch a glimpse of the strangeness. But where are we going? Let's just have a look. I don't know whether our Laura's in tonight, but to see Gemma's doing that. So let's have a look here, guys. Humans operate on a wavelength. On the one wavelength, the phenomena exist on a different wavelength. Sometimes we get static between the two wavelengths, which allows us to see or interact. Yeah. That could be the way it works. I don't know. Do you know, myself and Chris Turner have been working on a documentary now far too long, to be honest with you, just like Wolflands 2 is as well. But, life gets in the way. But where am I going? We interviewed Lisa, and we picked her up from her home, and we took her to where her and her partner saw this thing on the beach at Speeton. And I'm not saying this is entirely what you're talking about, but she were looking at an oval 3 foot by 18 inch, maybe 2 foot shape, just suspended in the air on a bright sunny day. Not a reflection of anything, just there. I'd have looked round it, could see it. If they'd have wanted, they could have put their hand in it. Is that some kind of thin area or is it some kind of natural weather effect that we're that's so rare that it's only been observed? I don't know, really, really infrequently. I really don't know, but she saw something strange, and the reason we've included it in the documentary is because she's in the zone of strangeness. There's so many things seen in, on, and around that area that it were well worth including. Ian, let's see, Ian Passy, is it? Zen, always good to see you, mate. And we've got a question from Lee. What is the strangest coincidence that's ever happened to you? Oh, I think you put me on spot there, mate. I can't really think of one off top of my head. And there's lots and lots of coincidences, and no doubt that this will be buzzing around in my head, and I'll think about it when we've shut down later. But I can't think of one off top of my head, mate. Let's have a look. Should we do another story in a minute? We'll just have a look, see if there's any more questions. Let's have a look. 40 and 23. The strange object being witnessed and filmed may well be materializing from another frequency. So we're on the same page there with that one then. Or we'd see them constantly. Wouldn't it be something to dip our faces into the other reality for a moment? Isn't it strange how this question obviously weren't lined up for Lisa's experience, but that oval translucent jelly that were just suspended, almost, she said it looked like heat haze, but it was a definite shape that they could look around. Would you have touched it? That's what I'm getting at. Would you have put your face into it? What would you have seen if you'd done that? Yeah, you might see nothing. I realise that, but who would put their hand up and say, I think I definitely want to touch that? I think I would, but maybe that's foolhardy. But that's how I'd feel anyway. But our faces into another reality for a moment. Is that what it's like looking into a crystal ball? I don't know. Do we imagine that we see things when we look into a crystal ball? Do we imagine that we see things when people do transfiguration and they sit under that dull red light in the darkness and people look at their face and perceive the changes? You know, all things worth considering and all things I'm not certain about. But I do know, and we aren't going into too much detail, that if that's been performed, particularly the Transfiguration. And if you've got 6 people sat in front of you and all 6 people say that they're seeing the same thing, something's happening. But then again, if you put a camera onto the subject and film it, would the camera record what the 6 people are claiming that they're seeing? It's strange, isn't it? And I wish I had answers, but right. So we got Bob Sykes. Do you find that the paranormal activity is more likely to happen when you're not necessarily looking too hard? Yes. Yeah, I think it could happen at any time, Bob. And as you know, I'm always keen to point out, I know more than you guys. I think that I don't think I know there's going to be people in this chat now or listening to this afterwards that have had the most incredible experiences, and you just sat in silence. And that's your right to do. I get it. I really do. But when did it happen to you? And were you? I always think that we can somehow connecting with the phenomena when we're least expecting it. And the subtitle, the subtitles of the books weren't just sort of some random catchy phrase that I thought I'd put in. Truth Proof 2, Beyond the Thinking Mind, was for that very reason, because when when your mind's detached from all the trappings of everything, and it's hard, isn't it, in this world that we're living in at the moment? It's hard to take your mind off because there's always something infiltrating it. And mobile phones, you just can't take your faces off them, can you? Everybody walking around the streets now, it's almost like these are the comforts of madness, because we're all walking around having conversations where we'd have looked crazy 20, 30 years ago, talking to the nothingness. But now it's accepted. But when you can get somewhere and sort of detach your mind from what we'll call it the real, maybe that isn't the real, maybe the real is the detachment, and just sort of concentrate on nothing, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. I think that's when you're kind of open to what people call the unexplained phenomena infiltrating, or I don't know whether we seep into its existence or it seeps into ours, but it's a consciousness thing. I really believe it is, and hence people do meditation or the forms of trying to interact and connect with the UFOs. There's lots and lots of different schools of thought, but I do believe that if we can get past the trappings of everyday life and start concentrating on the phenomena itself, with a blank canvas, with a chance of interacting with it. I mean, I might be talking absolute rubbish to some people, and so what? If I am, I am. I'm not here to please everybody. Let's just go down a bit. 40 and Tony Worrell, good to see you. Let's have a look. And thanks, and Gemma and Lee for moderating tonight. Simon's in. Kev Oyston. Oh, let's have a look at Kev. Always good to see you, Kev. I definitely thought of you when I watched Disclosure and the Animal Element. Perhaps they were trying to abduct you. Any news from the Teesside area? No. There isn't, Kev. And do you know something? I dearly wish. Once again, guys, it's not cryptic. I'm not trying to throw out clues where there ain't clues. But Kev knows, and he's as your brother or your cousin. You're sat on an incredible story. I know your cousin is an absolutely incredible story from up that way, which involves the abduction scenario in a massively frightening way. And I wish we could move a little bit further with that one, guys. But Kev's been on to Cliff Tops with us. Kev's even wrote a book, be it fictional, but it's a great book called The Black Meadow, and that covers strangeness around the area of Fylingdales and that area. So that's interesting, Kev. I don't know whether you're still writing, but good to hear from you. And thanks for linking it to the animal element of the Disclosure Day film, because I thought of that straight away and I thought, wow, rabbits and the guinea pig. Peter Leach. Right, it's great to see you, Peter. Look at that fish. That thumbnail, guys. Was it a carp or something? I don't know. The dash cam footage of the 7-foot figure crossing the road is very good. It's bipedal, 7 foot, then doesn't really seem to have a route, especially of escape. It appears in the field as well from memory. Great. Thanks for watching that, Peter. And it's great to hear from you. And he's right. And what we will do, not necessarily next week or week after, but in next few weeks, we'll do another panel talk if lads want to do it, and we'll show that footage again, because Peter makes a point in question. I talked about the dash cam footage with the explosion of orange light where Linny thought my car had exploded. And then we talk about the figure that is caught running across. But what I didn't say, because obviously you want a bit of footage to rather than just labouring on about it, but it could only run into a wall. There's a wall about 5 foot and then an embankment and then hawthorn trees. It can't have gone anywhere. Whatever it was, it just couldn't have gone anywhere. So Peter's just highlighted that. And once again, somebody else it's great to see you guys in chat, because I'll not go into detail about Peter's experience, but let's just say that it's interesting. Let's go. Paul, have you got any solid evidence of ETs and government and the government? Paul, if I didn't see the if because it's close to the Paul. If you've got solid evidence of ETs and the government told you to stop and stop doing it, how would you handle the military? Can be quite sinister. How would you handle it? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to ever. If you got that evidence, I think now we'd probably get it as a collective because there's a group of people going up there. We've got evidence of lights under the sea. It don't tell us it's ET. Why am I saying ET? Extraterrestrials. It doesn't tell us it's the unknown others. It doesn't tell us what it is. But we've got evidence. Just I don't know. Not even quarter of a mile off the cliffs of lights moving about under the sea, which is interesting in the night, fascinating, because I don't think there'll be any submarines. It's not deep enough. So I don't know what that's evidence of. We've got evidence in the form of what Ian filmed with the thermal. We've got evidence in the form of these strange lights that I've managed to film, using the psionics and using the Sony, the object that came out of Filey Bay. What I'm putting out there, it's obviously it's not bothering anybody, is it? It's fascinating for you guys. It's fascinating for us, and we're trying to get more proof. But whether other people higher up the chain are interested, I really don't know. I don't know. Would we stop? I can't say. I really can't say. I'm not going to try and be brave and go, oh no, it won't stop me, because I don't know. You don't know how you'd react. Excuse me. You don't know how you'd react in such a situation, do you? Sometimes you only know when that moment arrives what you're going to do. But thanks for the question. Right. Is there any phenomena you believe is real, even though there's no solid evidence? Do you know something, Lee? I don't think there's any. There's solid evidence of something, but we've not got any solid cryptid evidence, have we? Really? People are showing alleged pictures and alleged footage of the Bigfoot phenomena, but now there's that much AI and things that can muddy the waters. None of us really know. I don't know what it would take to show solid evidence. I do know, and there'll be people saying, "Oh, I see he's been bragging about that footage again." I've heard the comments, but I do know that the stuff that's been put out as evidence of disclosure is not. It's definitely not as good as what we've been putting out there. I mean, and I have written to Whitley Strieber this week to put me in touch with a few people, and I said I was going to do it, and I have done. We shall see whether that comes to fruition. All right, let's have a look. Yeah. Jane Louise, I think Malcolm Robinson covers Cannock. Okay. I think we'll have to get Malcolm back on, Jane, because I think he's just got another book out as well at the moment. So he might want to push a few stories from this. I think I don't know what volume it is, Malcolm, if you're listening, but it's one of the UFO case files of Scotland. So we'll see whether you want to come on and talk about some of them. But first of all, Jim Penniston, all being well, get your questions in upper casings. And let's have a look. London Girl, Mark Anderson, good to see you, Mark. Matthew Cook, Janice, Lips Smacker. Let's have a look at this. Question. Did you get around to watching the 411 missing? 411 missing, very strange occurrences in national parks. I wonder if there have been any cases of missing people in the UK. Oh, yeah, there has, yeah. There's been some around Eastern North Yorkshire, which I've looked into and written about to some degree. But I'm always very cautious because, unlike some people, I don't look upon the missing people. I don't look at the subject of the unexplained phenomena as entertainment. But I think when you're talking about missing people, you've got with no proof of what could be responsible, other than that they've gone missing in highly unusual circumstances. But I think when you're talking about missing people, you've got to do it with even more respect, because it's somebody's son, it's somebody's mum, it's somebody's loved one, and it shouldn't become entertainment. And that's what I see a lot of these channels and a lot of these podcasts, when they talk about it, they detach themselves from the actual reality that these are real people, and you've got to, so I always hold my hand up if I do talk about any of the people that have gone missing, and say, I can't connect them to any of the unexplained phenomena, but what I can say is that they've gone missing in a location where strange, highly unusual things take place. And I think that's as close as you can get to it without any proof. And I hope that answers a little bit your question. But so, yeah, there are cases. Yeah, definitely. Sean and Andrew. Right, David Polides, brilliant. Been a subscriber for years. He did contact me a few years ago, wanting to look into a few of the cases. And for one reason or another, it never happened. He also talked about the case of Thomas Henry Bennett. And I think it was 1925, Thomas Henry Bennett went missing. And he disappeared from Lime Kiln Lane, ran into the night and were never seen again. And that one was covered by David Polides, and I covered it as well. And there's only one correct. There's only one correct path that story followed, and it came from me. And that's no slur on anybody else, him included. But the fact is that I could get to all the newspaper archives. Nobody in America could get to those newspaper archives, but I could. I could sit going through all those newspapers, both in Scarborough, in Bridlington, and I could look at length, and I could see the picture the true picture of what had happened. And many things in the account weren't factual, and I don't think it were deliberate. I just think that information weren't there. Whereas when I looked into it, I knew that it said nobody saw him jump into the sea. I know we'll do this case in detail, then you'll see what I'm talking about. But somebody did. There were a guy on an allotment who saw him jump over the cliffs into the sea. You can literally jump over and run down those cliffs near Sowerby. But the fact were that he'd disappeared after that, he'd never seen again. So there are lots and lots of elements in that case. And without going into detail, and we haven't got time now, guys, I can't really sort of do it justice. But there's great work done by David Polides, without a doubt. Absolutely astounding work. But sometimes, if you're actually living in the location where this strangeness has occurred, you've got more access to the information. And and my finger were on pulse, and I really got to the bottom of the Thomas Henry Bennett case. If I've ever talked about it, you might find it somewhere. I can't remember where I've talked about it, but it's out there anyway. And see what you think. Let's have a look here, guys. Wolflands is available to buy. Right. Thank you, Lee. We've covered that one, haven't we? But yeah, it is. Right. Let's have a look. Mark Anderson. Paul, I have a theory that people who see don't see much. Let me do this again. I have a theory that people who see don't so much see, but instead are more prone to remember something. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts? It's good. It's a good way of putting it, that, and it kind of makes you guys. It makes me think. I don't know whether it makes you guys think, because I know that in 1997, when that was the last visitation, when they put the holes in my back, and I remembered it vividly happening during the night. And then when I sat up on the edge of the bed the next morning, I had no memory of it. No memory. I felt, I don't know, a bit tired and woozy, but I had no memory of it. And then when Mary, my wife, sort of looked round at me, because it's a lovely summer's day when I've woke up morning, she said, Paul, I don't believe it. You've got 3 holes in your back. That was the only time that came back. There were no pain. So what you're saying, Mark, makes sense. Now, meaning, if that I'd have just put a T-shirt on, got some trousers on, tracksuit bottoms, gone downstairs, made a cup of tea, had a bit of breakfast, and then never noticed till I got a shower or a bath later that day, how much would I have remembered? It literally just came back to me. As soon as Mary said that, the holes in my back, and I put my hand round and I felt the holes. But if she hadn't have said anything, I don't think I would have remembered. And I've said it when I wrote Night People. All I've got are little cameos of events. I don't have a sort of a beginning, a middle, and an end. I've just got fragments of memories, and like you've just perfectly illustrated there, I don't think I would have remembered as much as I remembered about the 1997. Was it an abduction? I don't recall going anywhere. I think I was laid in my bed when it happened. But then I've always questioned, how could I have been laid in my bed if I were on my back? How did I get 3 holes in my back? It's crazy. But yeah, I think we forget a lot more than maybe we meant to forget. Maybe there's a reason that the slate is wiped clean. Maybe you're not meant to remember because it's what you would remember would be too horrific. I don't know. Let's have a look. With 9:01, guys. And really thank you for support. I think we've held about 350 people. So I hope I haven't bored you too much. All being well, next week we will be having Jim Penniston on. And so if you've got some questions for Jim, respectful, if whether you agree or you don't agree, we're always got to be respectful. And this guy's going to come on and he's going to share at least an hour of his time with us, maybe 2 hours. And we're going to talk about the Rendlesham Forest incident, which without doubt is one of the biggest cases in the world. It might be a long time ago, 1980, but it's worth discussing. And in Jim Penniston, we've got a man who claims he actually touched the craft. So we shall see, won't we? So, right, let's have a look here. My thoughts are that the London bus was maybe a glitch in time. It slipped briefly into the wrong place. Do you know, Jane, it's fascinating, but obviously that boat, the cruise ship, wouldn't have been in exactly the same place in the ocean every time it happened. And it happened on different cruises. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I just don't know. I can't work it out. I just can't bend my head around. It just doesn't seem right. It's as crazy as seeing characters from Scooby-Doo. It's just nuts, isn't it? But does anything make sense within this crazy subject of unexplained phenomena? Come on, let's face it. The things that have happened to you guys, does it make sense to you? I bet sometimes you've thought that you've got an handle on it and thought you knew what was happening, and then something's happened that's just totally sent you off in another direction. Right. And thank you for that. And anybody that's given us a donation tonight, if I haven't seen it, I do appreciate it. It's really kind of you. I'm just going to quickly scroll down. Let's have a quick look. The phone call was linked to the lights. I think it was mischievousness. Yeah, I do. I don't know how it works, because when David rang the police officer, he claims that the police officer claims, I've not rang you. How have you got my number? It's strange, isn't it? But I said to David today, I said, how do you know it were a police officer? Do you know, everything just throws us, doesn't it? Let's just do this. Simon, I saw something today moving past those buildings on the old RAF base. My brain couldn't compute at first. Then I realised it was a tractor. Yeah, well, you're going to see them, aren't you? So that makes sense to me. And how many people have been stuck behind tractors at this time of year? That's frustrating, isn't it? But there you go. So, guys, I think we're going to wind it down. All being well, we'll be back here at 7 p.m. next Sunday. So thanks for support, as always. I really appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, you've got my email, paulsinclair@gmail.com. Find me some questions in week, or if you know Lee, fire them at Lee. It's all good. And let's see if we can make next Sunday Sunday's an equally interesting live stream. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella come in, he said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything was deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, There's no night noise because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.